Is being sued by a privacy group which claims the FBI trained Best Buy employees to search customers' computers for child pornography. In the lawsuit, the group says informants who are trained, directed, and paid by the FBI to conduct searches for the agency are acting as government agents. They say these informants search the computers when they are brought in for repair without warrants. Paula, how common is it for the FBI to have a relationship with a company like it does with Geek Squad?
Well, it's not common, and if it is common, it's certainly not commonly known. And here the FBI really disagrees with the characterization of this relationship. They say that they did not ask anyone to search devices for any evidence of a crime, that they did not train them. But Elaine, they do not deny that money was exchanged, that they offered some of these Geek Squad employees rewards, financial rewards, several $100s for reporting these statistics, or excuse me, this evidence. And what's so interesting about this is what this comes down to is the fact that this lawsuit argues that the FBI is trying to get around the constitutional protections. Elaine, you and I both have a constitutional right to be protected from the government searching our stuff. But you don't really have that same protection from private citizens, your neighbors, strangers, perhaps people at Geek Squad searching your stuff. So here, this lawsuit is trying to argue that, look, if the FBI is trying to get around those constitutional protections by having private people do it, we don't think that's fair. But the FBI says, look, they weren't working on our behalf. They just happened to see something and they reported it and we gave them money.
Well, these allegations were first made after a California doctor took his computer to a Best Buy store for repair and later was charged with possessing child pornography. Where does that case stand right now?
Elaine, this case has been going on for years. It first surfaced in 2011. The doctor was indicted around 2014. And now the two sides are just arguing over whether or not this evidence that was discovered by the Geek Squad, whether or not you can actually admit it in court. It's truly central to this case. So once the judge issues a final ruling on this particular piece of evidence, then the case can go forward. But it has been languishing in the courts for years and years now.
Well, Paula, when you send in your electronic devices to be repaired, can you expect your private information to remain private?
Well, it depends what kind of private information. You should certainly expect to have your credit card information or pictures of your children should be protected. No one should be sharing those. But Elaine, when it comes to evidence of a crime, many companies have policies that require their employees to report any sort of evidence of a crime, particularly something like child pornography. Those kinds of crimes, any individual who finds evidence of that in your car, in your laptop, whatever it is, you really don't have an expectation of privacy against private citizens who discover that.
For law-abiding citizens, what sort of laws are in place to protect you from what someone might see on your device when you do hand it over to them?
Again, when it comes to evidence of a crime, there aren't a lot of laws on the books. So it seems here like what this doctor is trying to do is to get some legal precedent, so sort of get a bench ruling that can help protect people. Because what they're arguing is that, look, I'm protected from government searches. They argue Geek Squad was acting as an arm of the government and they should have been protected against this. So far, they haven't been successful in the doctor's case in making that argument. But now there's this separate line of inquiry, this lawsuit. They want more information. They want to know the extent of this relationship between FBI and Geek Squad. And if there is a relationship, they're going to try to sue to get it blocked.
All right, Paula Reid in Washington for us. Paula, thank you.